Hey guys, it's Josh here. And if you're struggling with anxious emotions or you're struggling with processing your anxiety in high stress environments, so you may be a business professional, someone who's ambitious, who wants to excel in your career, or in your work, and you feel that your anxiety is holding you back. You feel like your anxiety is kind of rearing its head in moments when you really don't want it to rear its head, right? So it's kind of showing up and it's preventing you from doing things that you want to do. For example, maybe you have to present to your team at work, or you have to present to your staff, or to prospective clients, or something like that, and you are getting extremely anxious about it to the point where you might even be taking medication to deal with it. You might have to, pop some meds to even deal with that, right? Or you're worried that you're about to get to that point where, you're going to start to need to rely on medication to deal with your anxiety. So I have a client who recently was struggling with this, exactly what I've just said. He is a ambitious business professional, and he's working in a high performing job, and he has to present to groups of 20, 30, 40, 50 people, and he gets really anxious. And so sometimes he has to take the medication, right, the beta blockers, to deal with the anxiety, to deal with the those emotions. And he doesn't really want to do that. He doesn't want to have to rely on medication. And so I was messaging him the other day, and he was asking me, he was saying he felt a little bit stuck. He felt like, although he's been trying to make changes, he feels like he's taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. And he keeps having to rely on this medication. And he really felt stuck on that because he really didn't want to be relying on the medication. He wants to get past it. That's why he's working with me, to find freedom from the anxiety so that he doesn't have to use the medication anymore, and so that he can just show up as a calm, confident version of himself, someone who's clear in the mind, who's able to easily communicate and share the ideas that he needs to share, in his work life. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you exactly what I told him, because this is really helpful information for anyone who wants to overcome anxiety naturally without medication or without therapy. So, if you want to overcome your anxiety naturally without medication or without therapy, then what I'm going to share with you today is really the main thing that you need to work on, so that you're not getting stuck on these emotions. Because here's what's happening, right? For someone who wants to stop taking medication, they're gonna, like, if you're on medication, what you're currently doing is you're essentially like reducing your emotional intensity. So the medication, the beta blockers, the SSRIs, the mood stabilizers, what they really do is they just reduce your emotions. Like, they kind of numb your emotions. And so, if you're taking them, then you're kind of developing this familiarity with this numbed state, like a state of numbness, right? And so it's easy to just take the pill, because then you're just going through this numbness, you don't have to deal with your emotions. If you want to overcome your anxiety naturally, which you absolutely can, you have to learn to feel your emotions. So for someone who's going to, you have to learn how to feel your emotions without being swayed by them, without them taking over or taking control of you. You have to be in control of your emotions, not the other way around, not your emotions being in control of you. So for someone who's on medication and they want to come off medication, and maybe you take steps to get off the medication, what's going to happen naturally is your emotions are going to start to become heightened. So you're going to go through this period of time after the medication where your emotions come back, and they'll come back in a real heightened way. And now you need to get over that little hump, right? If you want to sustain, your recovery without medication, if you want to heal naturally, you really need to get over this little hump of, feeling your emotions. Because when you stop taking the beta blockers, you stop taking the mood stabilizers, you stop taking the SSRIs, you're going to go through this period where the emotions come back in a heightened way. And when that happens, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that like you're broken. It doesn't mean that like there's something out of the ordinary. It's purely just, it's actually very normal. Humans are supposed to feel emotions. We're actually supposed to have these emotions, right? Having emotions doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It means that you're a human. The problem is that we haven't learned how to deal with our emotions. We haven't learned how to manage our emotions. We haven't learned how to process our emotions. So, when you get off the medication, what's going to happen is you're going to have this heightened emotional state for a period of time. And your main focus is really to learn how to process these emotions without panicking, right? Without freaking out, without trying to change it, without trying to resist it, without trying to, without telling yourself all these stories about how you're broken and how something's wrong, or, you're never going to get better. Instead, you need to learn how to just feel these emotions. You need to learn how to feel and process the emotion. So, for example, if it's anxiety and you start to get this panicky feeling, what's going to happen is, you're going to start to feel this panic. You're going to start to have these negative thoughts, and you're probably going to start to experience like a heightened, a shortness of breath, or an elevated or heightened heart rate. Maybe a little bit of sweating or something like that. That's okay. It's just your body's kind of natural response. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually not a bad thing. It's your body's natural response, right, to these emotional states. And so you've got to really develop a belief system that that's okay and that you're safe. So when you do start to have an elevated heart rate, or maybe you do start to, sweat or have a shortness of breath, you really need to learn how to become present, to be calm, and to allow yourself just to go through that experience. And so it helps to have this belief system of like, I am safe. I can do this, right? You've really got to wire in those new thoughts, as opposed to what will be the current or old thought model, which will probably be something like, there's something wrong with me. Oh no, here it's coming again. What if I have a full-blown panic attack? You know, I'm going to freak out. Those will be the current or old thought models, when you really need to install a new thought model or a new belief, which is something along the lines of, I'm safe, this is normal, everything's okay, I'll be fine, right? And so then when you have that new way of thinking about it, you're not in such a strong resistance to the emotions. So a couple of things here, right? Let's just recap really quickly. We're not at the end of the video yet, but I'm going to really recap right now. First things first, your emotions they don't mean you're broken. Everyone experiences emotions, right? Having emotions just means that you're a human, okay? It's perfectly normal and okay to have emotions, right? Secondly, you've got to change your thinking from I'm broken, there's something wrong with me, what if I have a panic attack, I'm freaking out, I'm going to die, to new belief system, which is I'm safe, this is normal, I'll be fine. So that's number one, your emotions are fine. Number two, you've got to actually change your thoughts around your experience as well. Okay. And it really helps to be present, right? And so this is what I'm helping my client with, right? This is what I help lots of people with. I've helped hundreds of high performing and ambitious business professionals overcome their anxiety to create more confidence, to create more inner peace, a sense of calm, clarity, and really to find more alignment in their life. So to align themselves with who they really want to be. And that's the journey from anxiety to alignment. If you'd like to learn more about how I help people with this, there is a video below. So there's a video training in the description below. You can go and watch that, or you can just book a call with me and we can discuss working together on that call, right? This is going to be a call where I'll get to help you identify your goals and your challenges and really see if I can help and if our program is a good fit for you, right? So, it's a good fit for people who are ambitious, who are high performing, who are professionals in their career, and wanting to really just take it to the next level, to upgrade their confidence, their calmness, their clarity of mind. So that's kind of the outcomes that you could expect through the program. But let me just talk about the kind of the third thing which is going to happen when you're going to come off the medication and you're going to learn to process your emotions in a healthy way, because it'll keep happening, right? And what I mean by that is your emotions will keep becoming heightened again and again, right? Now, most people think that that means that there's something wrong with them and I'm never going to be fixed. And oh, look, it's just happening again. And I'm taking 2 steps forward and I'm taking 2 steps back. If you have that mentality and that belief system, then that's what you'll experience. But I want you to know that you don't have to have that belief system. You don't have to have that mentality, because it's first of all, you're going to have the same pattern again and again. If you've been experiencing anxiety for months or even years, or even in some cases decades, you've got this long time of having this experience. So your body and mind is kind of programmed and patterned into this experience, right? You got neural pathways for those thoughts, right? And the thoughts send signals to the body. So your body is used to feeling certain chemicals and hormones and emotions in the body, because the thoughts are kind of got that you're in this rut of thinking, this cycle of thinking, or this loop of thinking, which creates these neural pathways in the brain. And those neural pathways send electrochemical signals to the body, which are basically neurotransmitters. So your thoughts send signals to the body to create different chemicals and hormones in the body. That's the cortisol or the adrenaline, right? The anxiety chemicals, right? And so your body and brain is like hardwired into this experience of anxiety. So when you're trying to recover naturally without medication, without therapy, you have to understand that, you're going to probably have these experiences over and over again. And now I'm telling you this because I don't want to bullshit you, right? I'm not trying to bullshit you like so many other people do, right? I'm trying to just give it to you straight, because what you probably want is you just want a clear pathway and a proven and tested system that you know is going to work. And so for me to do my best at delivering that for you and helping you out in the best way that I can, I need you to understand that this is going to happen again and again and again. But that's not a bad thing, because every time it happens is an opportunity for you to respond differently. And the more times that you respond differently, so this experience keeps happening again and again, you keep responding differently. Instead of taking the medication or instead of hitting the panic button, you tell yourself, I'm safe, I'm okay, this is fine. You allow yourself to experience those emotions. You allow yourself to feel those emotions. And every time you do that, every time you respond differently, you're going to start to rewire your brain. You're going to start to regulate your nervous system, right? So every experience where you have this anxiety coming up, you have to understand it's not a problem. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you, but you're going to have to like train yourself out of it. And that will take some time. It might take you, for clients that I work with, sometimes they can do it really quick. Sometimes they do it within 6 to 12 weeks. So like a couple of months, 2 to 3 months. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. Sometimes it takes 6 months. And for people who have had anxiety for a long time, sometimes it takes even up to a year, right? But it depends on the individual, and it also depends on how committed you are to the process, right? Because some people might, you try it for a few months, you have some success, and then you get thrown back to square one, which never really happens. But people think that that's what happens. Like, oh, I'm back to square one. It's not back to square one. It's just another experience where you get to train yourself out of this anxious loop, right? So, it really depends on your commitment to the process. And I tell this to all of my clients, and I talk about this all the time on YouTube, on my Instagram page. It's your commitment to the process. And I know, I know that sounds cliche. Everyone says, "Oh, you got to commit to the process. You got to trust the process," but you really do. You have to trust it, right? You just have to. The only people who really fail with anxiety recovery are the people who quit, the people who stop doing, who stop, implementing these methods. You can absolutely recover from anxiety naturally, right? Like, it's not a genetic thing. It doesn't mean that there's something broken in you. It doesn't mean that like you're going to be like this forever. You can absolutely get better from it, right? But you just have to commit to getting better from it, right? And you're going to have to leave these old thoughts behind. You're going to have to leave these old beliefs behind. You're going to have to leave your old identity behind, and you're going to have to actually create a new identity, right? You're going to have to create a new version of yourself, new thoughts, new beliefs, a new mind even, and a new body, right? A whole new you. And that takes time because, again, you're training yourself out of 5, 10, 15 years of anxiety you're training yourself into a new version of you who's calm, confident, at peace. So it does take some time, right? And I know in marketing and whatnot, you're not meant to tell people, oh, you're meant to say it's quick, it's fast, it's easy, right? But if I told you that, I'd be lying to you, because it's not necessarily quick, fast, and easy. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time. But if you are suffering with anxiety and you want to learn how to process your emotions properly, and you want to learn how to live a life where you actually feel confident and calm, I think it's worth it. It's worth putting in a little bit of work, right? And you can absolutely do it. A lot of people just don't believe in themselves, right? And that's why you might find it helpful to have a coach or a mentor or a teacher or someone to guide you and keep you accountable, right? Because then, you don't necessarily have to believe in yourself. You could, if you believe in your teacher or your coach or your mentor or your guide, then you kind of trust them, and then they can guide you on that path. That's why it's important that you have someone that you can trust. That's why I try to be so real with people from the get-go. I don't try to ever sugarcoat things, just to like maybe get more views or get more clients or get more money. Like, I try not to sugarcoat things, and I try to just keep it real so that, hopefully you trust me. I've helped enough people. I don't have the biggest YouTube channel just yet. I'm making this in 2025. But I've helped enough people now to know that this is what it takes. Right? I've helped over 250 high-performing business professionals to overcome their anxiety, build confidence, find inner peace. I know it works. I have a ton of 5-star Google reviews on my website, my Mind Launch website. You can go to Google, you can type in Mind Launch, you can look at all my Google reviews. We've got a very high success rate with helping people overcome their anxiety. And, more than that, once overcoming the anxiety is just the beginning as well, right? Like, overcoming the anxiety is really just the beginning, because once you do that, you start to realize that if I can do this, then I can pretty much do anything. And so from there, the thing that's a little bit different about me than this therapist or psychologist or psychiatrists is, we start with overcoming the anxiety, but then we really work on self-development, right? So really developing yourself into the person who you want to be, right? Like, really up leveling your mindset, right? And that's gonna have a knock on effect in all areas of your life, your relationships, your business, your health. Everything gets better, right? When you and your mind get better. So that's why we start with the anxiety, right? I teach you different frameworks, routines, habits to start implementing that are going to help you to process your emotions in a healthy way. And then we kind of, give you some different frameworks and techniques for changing your belief systems, right? And then we also, we calm the body, we clear the mind, and then finally we also work on processing these emotions, because that's what you got to learn how to do. You got to learn how to process your emotions. Maybe it's not anxiety, maybe it's like frustration or anger or sadness or shame or guilt, or maybe it's a mixture of all of these things. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you just have to learn how to process those emotions so that you're in control and that they're not controlling you. So yeah, this is kind of what I do with my clients. Again, if you want some help with this, then you can basically just book a call with me below, and we can have a chat, and we can see if I can help you out to really, find more confidence, create alignment in your life, and build inner peace, right? Because a world exists, a reality exists, a life exists where you can wake up feeling energized, feeling calm, feeling confident, where you can present and talk to, as many people as you want clearly, and really to communicate what you're wanting to say without being anxious, right? And that world exists where you feel totally fulfilled in your work, in your relationships, in your life. And I want to help you get there. So if you want some help with that, just book a call with me below. Or if you want to learn more about our Anxiety to Alignment program, there's also a video you can watch that explains kind of, how it all works. So I hope you found this video helpful. This is how to process your emotions, without being so anxious. So if you want to learn how to really process your emotions without, being so anxious all the time, then you've got to remember it's okay to feel your emotions, right? You've got to change your thoughts and beliefs around what it means to experience emotions, and you've got to be committed. You have to keep going, right? You have to really just keep going and not give up, because that's what it takes. And if you do those three things, you can create a calm body, right? You can create a clear mind, and you can create a whole new version of yourself. So hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.